co-manager.
Is it on?
Yeah, it is on.
Do they like back up UCAS?
Just plug it in the GoPro.
And if you put...
Oh, I thought that was a massive Vaseline pot for a second.
Wait, all the cameras on? Alright, I might look wrong one.
Hold on.
Do I have stuff, man?
You do have a little bit of white stuff.
No, not at all.
I mean, I'm sure, but you're like 5'5" max. Yeah.
So you're on your tips.
Got a face.
Yeah, sit down. That's what I thought, mate.
Oh, here, are we ready?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to episode 7 of Keeping Up with the Keynesians. Today I'm joined by Issa on my left and James on my right. How are you both today?
I'm great.
I'm absolutely splendiferous.
Brilliant. So today we're going to be doing AI and automation, and will it reshape the economy? Will it destroy jobs? Those are kind of the main talking points we have today. So why this topic? AI is no longer science fiction. I mean, you saw in the movies like robots take over the world, but I think it's now a viable solution to reshaping how we work, how we hire, and how we create value across different sectors. I mean, you've seen automation has already been used in sectors such as manufacturing, for example. You've got driverless cars as well now, even in services industries. Economists and policymakers are kind of struggling to understand at the moment, is this the next industrial revolution? Inequality is one of the main concerns, but also kind of like overpowering AI use is also another concern on top of that. So let's get into it. So to start off with, where are we now? James, do you want to talk about the current state of AI?
I'd love to. So, as many you probably know about generative AI such as ChatGPT, probably for your homework quite a bit. Use it for creative writing, to coding assistance and image generation. But now AI is beginning to be used a lot more in the economy. It's seen how it's using machines to improve efficiency, automation and decision making across various sectors in the economy. And not only does it speed up production, but it also cuts costs for a lot of firms. It reduces the need for human labour, and this ends up pretty beneficial for everyone, given that it will increase the supply due to the rest, meaning price will eventually fall because of this.
It could obviously aid the manufacturing jobs and so on, but then you could also argue that it could almost replace them. And therefore, especially if it's concentrated in the primary and secondary industries, where many of the lower income people are employed, that could fuel income inequality and wider economic inequality.
But it's also beginning to play a part in these like tertiary sectors. So as seen in the healthcare, these AI algorithms are like really being put to good use. They're using to analyze medical images and like X-rays, MRIs. So this use of AI can really like automate the process and help them get back to the stuff that's really meaningful.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Cheers, Jeff.
30% of work activities could be automated by 2030. Could be good, could be bad. I personally think it's a bad thing. James, what do you think?
I mean, I think in the short run it might be a bad thing, but in the long run it will definitely improve. I think we'll see a lot of benefits within the next 20-30 years.
Well, I think that, there's a concern, that this will be the new, industrial revolution, so to speak. And, the industrial revolution really shook up the world. I mean, you look at a boy in the year 0 had more in common with a boy in the 1830s than a boy in the 1890s did with a boy in the 1830s. I mean, the Industrial Revolution was just that big of a change. I mean, cities today have been so impacted by the Industrial Revolution. We are still feeling the effects today. So who knows what AI will bring. But I do know that whatever these changes will bring to the economy and to the political state of the world, the government does need to be in check to make sure that companies and other players in the industry does not overstep their bounds.
What an answer. Anyway, thank you, Issa. Thank you, James. I think it's clear that AI can have both a positive and a negative effect. I think James's point on the fact that it means that we can focus on other things is a good one. I think we can focus more on innovation, create new industries. Right, so the economic impact of AI and automation. Obviously, you touched on the productivity boost. I mean, if you're automating all these things, we see the productivity not even in corporate worlds, we can apply it to our own worlds using AI to fill in a Google Doc that just takes loads of time. But then there is the job displacement risk. Routine jobs, manufacturing, accountancy, transportation, all of those. Driverless cars. We could see the end of taxi drivers, which would be a shame.
I love a good taxi driver. What can I say?
Good conversations. I mean, what conversations are you going to have with a robot?
How's the CPU doing? I don't really know.
Ooh.
Cut that joke, bro.
Anyway, James, you have... See, with AI, we could, you wouldn't have to move it. It would just move itself. But yeah, the economic impact James, do you want to touch on the economic impact?
Yeah, so I think there are some pretty visible impacts so far. So there have been cost reductions of 20 to 40% in several industries. Obviously helped out, probably supplies increased quite a bit. So I think already in a lot of companies we're seeing the introduction of AI as it's seen as like the next big thing.
I think it's really important to look at it from both perspectives. There is genuinely the risk that if all of these menial jobs are taken up by AI, and a lot of industries, accounting for example, I know law is at risk of being taken up by AI. If all of those jobs are gone and entries into sort of the higher end industry are taken up by AI, there's just no consumer base anymore. Nobody's earning money. That's like a restaurant, selling a pill that would cure all hunger. Well, how are they going to sell? How is their business going to function in the future? I mean, they're a restaurant.
We're now going to be going on to the side segment of today. The lights are blue, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the Keynesian side segment, AI Mythbusters, in which I will give you 4 statements and you basically have to say if they are myth or if they are true. So, number 1, AI will make all human jobs obsolete by 2050.
That's got to be a myth. No
Pretty
way.
much 25th.
No, that's too soon.
25 years, that's pretty much not happening.
Yeah, you're both right. Economists widely predict new jobs will emerge. Maybe all current jobs might change and might be taken up by AI, but new jobs will emerge. Number 2, AI is already replacing most factory workers.
I'm going to say that's fact.
So many underdeveloped countries, there's no way that they have the majority of workers replaced.
As it gets richer, 1 in 3 products is made in China, and you're seeing the technological development of China. I think we're steering towards more automation.
Yeah, we are steering towards it, but we are not there yet. It is a myth.
Beany,
has got it right.
I didn't write the script.
But yeah, automation is expanding. It was a myth, but most factories still rely on this human labor. Number 3, generative AI can replace all creative work.
Well, I hope it doesn't, but I think that would be a fact.
I hope so.
You hope so?
I hope so.
You're not a creative.
It's long.
Yeah, it is kind of long, but it's a myth. Creative tools assist but don't fully replace human creativity yet. All you writers out there, all you artists, you're safe for now. Number 4, and the final one, AI makes economies more unequal. Is that true or is that false?
That's fact.
So low skilled workers, the poorer people in the economy.
Economy.
It's the lowest skilled, poorer people in the economy that are getting replaced first. The ones with jobs that are less skilled, easier to do. The second they lose their jobs, they're not earning an income and their quality is just getting worse.
It is true, it is a fact. Current evidence suggests AI benefits top firms and skilled workers the most, whilst developing countries and lower income workers are left behind, widening inequality. But that kind of wraps up the side segment, so thank you very much to you for both participating in this today. 7th one, we're still not quite out of ideas yet, but if you do have some ideas, let us know. We've got the socials up here on James's face per chance, or on the screen. So let us know, reach out. Beanie's having a nightmare editing.
Just don't do any of those. Because
Right.
If you put to the side, he's like pointing up.
That's the end of the side segment. Now let's move on to the final takes. James, what are your key takeaways?
So as I said, I'm the optimist here. I think in the short run there'll be like a few potential problems, but within the first 5-10 years, I think it's only going to be going uphill. Like the more complex jobs are going to be more in demand, so education will probably improve. So I think AI is going to be beneficial, but the government have to make sure that they play their part in improving education and allowing workers to pick up these necessary skills.
Brilliant, thank you James. Issa, what are your key takeaways?
Well, I think we all need to be a little bit cautious about AI. I mean, obviously, the effects that AI can have can be absolutely extraordinary. And we've already touched on, climate change, the healthcare industry, improving the quality of life for everybody. But I think it's really important to remember the fact that the technological divide between developing countries and developed countries is already massive today with the internet. With the introduction of AI, there's obviously the risk that industries can just become more consolidated in developed countries, and these high technology, high growth industries just remain, where wealth is, instead of, trickling down to these other countries.
Thank you very much, Issa. Some great points there. I think that will wrap up the episode for today. On my half, I think AI is obviously a tool for productivity, but it can it is very unpredictable. Only time can tell what the long-term impact will be. Thank you very much, James and Issa, for coming on today. Thank you very much to everyone for watching. What do you think? Are you excited or anxious about AI's future impact on jobs, the economy, etc.? Let us know. All the details will be down here. And anyway, thank you very much for listening again. Thank you both. Thank you, Beany in the background.
Thank you.
Big up, Beany.
Goodbye.
Uh,
Unplug it, it's gonna be
At
least when you waffle,
How
you say
long is
it's
this recording? Is that 40 minutes?
You need to give Beany the GoPro.
It's on 0%.
This is a 40
Wait,
minute
yeah.
recording.
Well, it is now.
No.